Loops yarn is a loops and threads yarn exclusively from Michaels. This yarn is made for hand knitting without needles or hooks, just your hands. The yarn has pre-stitched in loops like these, and they don't go anywhere. They don't have as much stretch, so you can measure across your project and know the width of your project and know that these loops are not going to be coming out, and everything is the same size. And because the loops are pre-stitched in, it's a yarn that everybody can use. It's simple, and we're going to take you through the basics of how to begin and work your couple of different stitches, how to finish it off, make cables, and also increase and decrease. So get your yarn at Michaels and let's loop. For this sample swatch, let's begin with 8 loops across, which is about 6 inches or 15 centimeters. We're going to take the first loop and cut it open. Just take your scissors and cut this thread that's in between the loop, and this will be used for seaming in or stitching in later to finish it off nicely. Go ahead and lay your loops out nice and flat. Working on a table for the first few rows is easier to get these started. And we can work from right to left or left to right. And without turning our knit stitches, everything's facing the right way. Everything's facing up, so you don't have to do any turning like on a traditional needle. So to cast on or begin, we just count out how many loops we need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I am ready to begin my loop knit stitch. I want to put my working yarn to the back, and through this loop here, which is the last one on my cast on or beginning row, I'll take the next loop and place it to the back and through that front loop stitch, and we're just going to pull that right up. So loop through the loop, and you've got your first stitch on there. You're going to go to the next loop on your cast on row and pull through the next loop on the working yarn and pull that right up through, and you've got 2 loops made. And we're going to go to the next one and continue pulling back to front. And it was that easy. Check that out. And so after you've done the first one, just give it a little tug. It can't stretch far. These loops aren't going anywhere. And to begin on the next row, you just go in the opposite direction. Take your last loop worked and pull through the next loop on the strand. And continue going. Making a purl stitch causes more interest in your project, like this basket we've designed here for a garter stitch look. Instead of having our yarn at the back, we just move our working yarn to the front. Then we lay the new loop over the previous loop, and then we work this new loop from front to back up through that loop and pull it through, and it creates this bump for a purl stitch. You're going to lay the next loop on top of the old loop back there and push it through from front to back and pull through, and you have got 2 purl stitches. Make sure that you're keeping everything straight and not twisting it as you go. Once you've got your desired length, you're going to bind off, and we want to work towards the tail or the working yarn. So we can go ahead and cut a few loops down here, so where we can make a nice little tail to join in. You can even have 1 loop or 2 loops. You're just going to be cutting open those same threads that we've done before, so you can have a nice long tail to work with. And we're going to loop through as the loop knit stitch. So we're going to take the front loop and pull the back loop up and through. Okay, so front or first loop over next loop, pull it up and through. Okay, put it on top there, pull it through, and it makes this nice chain look on the top. And that last loop goes up and through. And when we have this last loop on here, now we can pull through this strand. To fasten in your end, you're going to cut it off where you'd like to use to fasten. We're going to bring it to the back of the project into these stitches here. And we're going to use thread and a needle. And you can use a crochet hook or your fingers if you like. I like to stitch this down, and I know it is not going to go anywhere. So we're just going to simply work with the thread that's already there and go up and through, and I'm just going to create a type of whip stitch here, and I can knot that. So I just pick a thread that it's as close to the thread that exists on there, and then once I've got that in nice and secure, I'm going to pull through a loop and secure that and cut it off. And then that is how I would weave in my ends, and we can just go ahead and clip this and then do that to the remaining tails that you have. Stack the next 2 loops when working right to left. Put the second loop on top of the first loop and pull your new loop through, making sure not to twist, and you have a loop decrease right. Stack the next 2 loops on your project together with the first loop in front of the second loop, working from right to left, and pull the new loop through both of these loops, making a new loop to the left. This is a loop decrease left. Increase by skipping the next loop on your yarn and working the next loop knit or loop purl stitch in the next loop. So this one will be skipped, and we're just going to loop knit this one and come along and complete our round or row and work it as directed. On the next round or row, when you find one where you have increased, you're just going to work this loop as directed. You're going to work right to left and skip the first 2 stitches that you want to cable. Leave them in the back and work that first stitch and the next one. And now pick up the 2 unused stitches or loops, move them to the back, and loop knit those stitches. 1 and 2. And you have your right cross cable. Skip the next 2 loops on the project and work a loop knit into the next 2 stitches, the next 2 loops. And bring them behind the skip loops. So the skip loops run in the front, cross them over, and now work the 2 loops that were skipped. On your way back, left to right, you will then work those in a knit stitch, and you have your left cross cable.
Subscribe to our channel and share your projects using the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels.